Welcome to the Botany Bistro. My name's Mary and I'll be your botanist today. Our menu includes an exploration of plants in the Magnoliaceae family. This southern magnolia that I'm standing under is just one of many plants in the Magnoliaceae family. There are 250 species currently in this family, and that includes 2 different genera. So we have our magnolias and also our tulip trees. These plants put on a huge show for us in the early spring. Their flowers are just incredible. Plants in this family have fossil records dating back 100 million years. We're talking a long time. These plants are some of the earliest angiosperms. When we talk about plant evolution, we can think about how plants evolved from our aquatic areas onto terrestrial land, and then the further evolution of these plants as they moved from spores to exchanging genetic information, to having cones and gymnosperms, and to our angiosperms. When we think about these magnolias, we can really appreciate all of their amazing features that haven't changed that much over time. And so you know that they're doing something right. This particular species, the southern magnolia, has these really amazing leaves. They are quite thick, they are evergreen, they have a fuzzy underside. And you might think, oh my, why? Why does it have this fuzziness on the underside? Well, that actually does quite a bit for the plant. Able to protect leaves from being munched as much. It also helps regulate temperature. The southern magnolia is not the only magnolia that has this kind of fuzziness on the bottom of its leaves, and we will look at a couple of other magnolias that also have this pubescent form. One of the defining characteristics of plants in the Magnoliaceae family are their reproductive parts, their flowers. Unlike most angiosperms whose flower parts are in whorls, the Magnoliaceae have their stamens and pistils in spirals on a conical receptacle. This arrangement is found in other fossil plants and is believed to be an early condition for angiosperms. Another feature of these flowers that makes them a little bit more primitive than modern species is the fact that their sepals and petals are not distinct, and so they are classified as tepals. The main pollinator of these species are actually beetles, because bees weren't always around when these plants were growing. They needed a different type of pollinator. The flower of plants in the Magnoliaceae family are built so that these beetles can crawl around on the flower, chew them up a little bit, and they won't break. So they are very robust, which gives them such a wonderful show in the springtime. These big, thick petals, tepals, that fall to the ground and just create this beautiful carpet, which do degrade fairly quickly, but they're able to withstand that beetle activity that's crawling around on them as they pollinate. When considering planting a magnolia in your home landscape, you do want to consider the fact that they are alleliopathic, which means that they have chemical growth inhibitors that they exude from their root systems. And so you might have difficulty planting underneath a tree in the Magnoliaceae. Some of these plants also produce quite a thick carpet of leaves as they drop, especially our friend southern magnolia has these very thick fibrous leaves, and so those take a while to break down. So in order to keep the ground around the roots of your magnolia healthy, you do want to pick up that leaf litter, and you can put it in your compost and apply that finished compost in the following season. We have lots of different magnolia species on the grounds here at the Civic Garden Center. I'm just gonna go through a few of my favorites. One of them definitely has to be the cucumber magnolia. This is a tree that welcomes you into the Civic Garden Center, and after having worked here for almost 2 decades, I can tell you that the smell of this tree and its presence is definitely a welcome mat that I recall each time I come. Now, she's not quite got her characteristic smell on yet, but her bark is just riddled with these little sapsucker holes, and that's because there is quite a bit of sap produced by plants in the Magnoliaceae. And so this little woodpecker gets in there, this little yellow-bellied sapsucker woodpecker likes to peck in there and get some of that juicy sap, and it doesn't harm the tree, but you can tell that she's provided quite a buffet in her time. One of the earliest magnolia bloomers is the star magnolia. My husband, when he was a young child, was curious about this plant, and so I actually have a little shot of him, of course from mother-in-law, sniffing these flowers when he was very young, and it's just a cute little memory there. It grows a little bit smaller than some of our other larger tree species, and we have a little bit of challenge here with those bloom times just because of the nature of our late frost that we occasionally will get in this part of Ohio. I also have a beautiful saucer magnolia in my yard, and I will say that there are many seasons that she is not able to fully bloom for her full flowering time because of that late frost. And so if you're planting one of these trees, it would be good to plant it in a little bit of a protected area, kind of a little microclimate, and enjoy those blooms for any time that you have with them. Even if it's just a couple of days, don't assume that they're going to be there for very long. Take your pictures, because once that frost comes in, they just all turn brown, and it's a little bit of a bummer. So this past season was a wonderful season for our magnolias. The big leaf magnolia has the largest simple leaves and largest flowers of any tree indigenous to North America. These huge leaves measure up to 3 feet long and 1 foot wide. The leaves are green above with that silvery gray hair down below. We have a big leaf magnolia here at the Civic Garden Center, and when it is leafed out, the young kids that come here for our Little Sprouts programs and other field trips are just fascinated by these 3 foot long leaves. One of my absolutely favorite trees of all time is in the Magnoliaceae, and this is our tulip tree, tulip poplar. These trees grow very, very large. They produce amazing flowers really high up in the canopy. So most of the time you don't even see these flowers except for when the petals start to drop and you're walking around in the woods and all of a sudden you see these neon orange chevrons on the ground. You're like, what is this? And these are part of the tulip tree flower. They grow in different wooded areas. I'm actually fortunate enough to have a volunteer tree growing up in an area of my yard, and I just cannot wait to see the blooms. Plants in the Magnoliaceae have been used in traditional medicines, the flowers and the fragrances, but mostly in this area, it is an ornamental plant that we can all enjoy. It's my hope that you will be able to start enjoying all of the different beautiful species in the Magnoliaceae family as much as I do. That wonderful, joyous time of spring when they're all starting to flower, and then we get the later flowering species. We always get to enjoy these beautiful leaves on our southern magnolia. Our sweet bay magnolias are coming out. We're going to be having lots of fun with our cucumber magnolia soon. The tulip trees are just starting to leaf out, and so they will be putting on their flowers a little bit later in the season. I'd like to give a big thank you to North Carolina Extension and Botany One for use of their amazing images. Thank you so much for joining us, and stay tuned for more Bistro to Go.